There we go. No, don't play it again. Oh no. So yeah, guys, welcome to the first official live version of the Aussie Grid Girl podcast. For those of you that are new here, hi, welcome. My name is Kelsey. I'm from Melbourne, Australia, and I am a motorsports content creator and a podcaster. Last year, we did the first season of the Aussie Grid Girl, and it was all about F1. However, this year, it is going to extend probably to F2 and F3 because I feel like they need to be talked about as well, and hopefully we're going to talk about F1 Academy. Now, today, what we are going to do, we're going to have a fun little discussion where we are going to talk about all of the latest news in F1. Most importantly, and the way that we are going to start off is we are going to start off talking about the shock move that Lewis Hamilton is moving to Ferrari next year. Now, it started off as a rumor late on Thursday night or early Thursday morning, depending what part of the world you're in, where we were kind of told that Lewis was moving to Ferrari. Now, this was just a rumor for a little while until Sky Sports reported on it, Ted Kravitz reported on it, Martin Brundle reported on it, and Simon Lazenby were all tweeting about it. As soon as I kind of saw tweets from them, I was like, okay, cool. This has to be legit then. And then later on during the day when I was asleep because it was nighttime in Australia, Ferrari and Mercedes both confirmed that it was true. And Ferrari also, Carlos Sainz posted about the fact that his relationship with Ferrari will be coming to an end in 2024. Now, there's a few things about this that I'm not happy with. And for those of you that are listening to this podcast after the fact, I am doing this live on Twitch. So I do have my Twitch chat up and open. So if anybody who is watching on my Twitch wants to comment, I will read your comment out on the podcast here, and I'll talk about what you've said as we talk about it. Now, I think I've talked about this before. I am not the biggest fan of Lewis Hamilton. I'm also not the biggest fan of Carlos Sainz. Now, my amazing friend in Belgium, who I met through the F1 Twitter community, mostly fangirling about Charles Leclerc, is my amazing friend Aram. So, hi, Aram. Unfortunately, she is not in the Twitch chat right now because she's not feeling very well. She was here a little while ago before we started recording, but she's not here now. But basically, she also has a very strong, more so than me, dislike for Carlos Sainz. So she's kind of happy about it, but it also means that, look, I feel like, and I saw someone talking about this on Twitter earlier, where basically they were saying that Lewis has kind of known that he's the number 2 driver at Mercedes now that George is there. I don't really know how true that is. I don't really pay attention to the engineering calls during the race when they're coming from Mercedes due to not really caring about the team as a whole, just because it's not 2 drivers that I particularly like. I've never really been a fan of George Russell. Still not a fan of George Russell. He complains way too much on the radio, which I'm curious whether he did that at Williams and we didn't hear it, or if it's a Mercedes thing. But I digress. I'm not going to talk about George the whole podcast. But so it means that Lewis is now going to Ferrari at the end of this season. I find it a little bit strange that it was announced now, so I feel like because it took Mercedes and Ferrari so long to kind of make official statements, and from what I saw on Sky Sports, they were saying that the Mercedes team only found out about it about an hour after it went live on social media, that Lewis was leaving. So I don't know whether they were planning on it coming out today on Thursday, or if it was just something that sort of happened accidentally and they kind of had to go with the flow. I'm really not 100% sure. But yeah, it means that there is a free seat at Mercedes next year, and it also means that Charles Leclerc's new teammate is going to be Lewis Hamilton. Now, there's a couple things that I don't understand about this. First off, I don't really understand why Lewis is going to Ferrari. They beat Ferrari in the Constructors' Championship last year. Mercedes was second, Ferrari was third. Lewis was P2 or P3 in the Drivers' Championship. I think it was P3. And so he was positioned above both Ferrari drivers. I think Charles was P4 and Carlos was P6 and Lando was P5. I could be wrong. P3, thank you, Mary. And I don't understand why he would go to a team that is seemingly worse off than Mercedes. Now, the other thing that I don't understand is apparently Lewis is getting paid like $100 million a year over at Ferrari, which is just, I can't sort of fathom that. I thought with like budget caps and things like that in place that they couldn't pay drivers that much anymore. And from kind of what I see rumor-wise online, he's earning more than Max. Which is very, very strange. It also kind of, I can't wrap my head around the fact why he's going to Ferrari when Ferrari have two drivers who have, especially in 2022, not so much last year, but especially in 2022, like Charles was up there kind of competing a lot with Max for the championship in 2022. And last year, especially in the second half of the season, he was, of last year, Charles was relatively competitive, as was Carlos. And Carlos was the only non-Red Bull driver to win a race last year. Now, not including sprint races, but he was the only one to win a race last year, which is... It just, I can't fathom why you would push out the man that won a race for you last year and why you would want to mess up the dynamic with two drivers that already work really well together. Someone else has suggested that there's a lot of behind the scenes stuff going on at Ferrari with Charles and Carlos not getting along. And there's obviously been some tensions at Mercedes because otherwise why would Lewis be leaving? Like 5 months ago, he re-signed a contract with Mercedes and said that he was staying with them for another 2 years. So there's kind of a lot going on obviously behind the scenes that we don't know about. So I'm interested to sort of see where that goes. Just reading through the comments. A huge payday, new environment could get him 3 world titles. Yeah, 3 world titles in three different teams. It's a thing that he's always said that he wanted to do, which I believe is something that I can't remember who else has done it. I believe Michael Schumacher did it, and I think it's like a competitive thing there. So $45 million and a bonus. I mean, $45 million is still a lot of money. Development of a car, yeah, that's true as well. Like maybe he saw the car for this year at Mercedes and was like, yeah, fuck this, I'm out. And yeah, like, yeah, exactly. And that is exactly my point, Lucy. For those of you that aren't in chat and can't see this, a huge statement that he's their number one driver for 2025. Now, I think that is going to be exactly the case. Lewis is going to want to be treated as the number one driver, not as the number two driver. It's the whole reason why I feel like he's leaving Mercedes is because he doesn't want to be their number two and he can kind of see that there's been a shift and George is the priority. Now, I don't quite think that that's true. I think Mercedes have sort of both treated their team the same last year. The same with Ferrari. Like, I don't think it was particularly obvious that either Charles or Carlos were being favoured. A chat that I had with Danny online the other day. Danny, I'm going to butcher your last name, Danny. I apologise. Danny Gayusa. Basically, he and I had a really good back and forth on Twitter last night, I think it was, or it might have been the night before last, about the fact that Ferrari haven't really, like, shown a preference for either of their drivers last year. So I'm sort of interested to see how that goes. The other thing that I'm interested to see is who is going to get that seat at Mercedes in 2025. Now, I went through it the other day and there is a lot of drivers who are out of contract at the end of this year. Both of the Haas drivers are out of contract this year. Both of the Alpine drivers are out of contract this year. Both of the AlphaTauri drivers are out of contract this year. I believe Fernando Alonso is also out of contract at the end of this year, as is Alex Albon and Logan Sargent. And obviously we know that Checo is out of contract. Zhou and Valtteri are also out of contract. I think it'd be easier to say who isn't. So at this stage, George, Oscar, Lando, Max, You got to assume that Lance is on a rolling contract. His dad's not exactly going to fire him. Lucy, I know that gets you heated. We'll have a discussion about that in a moment. And I think, well, obviously now Lewis has a contract. So, and Charles. So there's like 13 drivers out of 20 that are out of contract at the end of this year. I saw online the other day, I was talking about it last night actually, that Ollie Behrman, who has been announced, who got announced on Thursday, just before all of the Lewis stuff started coming out, that he and Pietro Fittipaldi are the reserve drivers at Haas this year. Now, when I was online as well the other day, I looked and saw that Ollie Behrman is doing 6 free practice sessions next year. 6 free practice sessions this year, which is very, very strange. They only have to have the rookie driver in the car for 2 of those. So I'm interested kind of to see how that plays out, that Ollie is doing 6 practice sessions. So my thinking there is that he is probably going into one of the Haas seats next year that is going to be vacated. Just not quite sure who is going to be the one vacating the seat that he's going to. I have a feeling, just purely because of age, it will probably be Nico that gets pushed out of Haas at the end of this season. Someone else has said to me the other day that they think K-Mag is going to retire at the end of this season, so it could sort of go either way there. So there is a huge bunch of options for that Mercedes seat. Now, we kind of know that as with Red Bull and Visa Cash App Racing Bulls, VCARB, worst team name ever, is VCARB and Red Bull are kind of like the big team and the sister team. And then you've also got Mercedes and Williams that kind of have that relationship as well, which was sort of made obvious by George going to Williams, George going to Mercedes in 2020. Was it 22 that he went to Mercedes, or 21? I don't remember. My brain doesn't work that way. And so, I feel like there is a fair few viable options for that Mercedes seat. Obviously, for me, I think that Alex Albon deserves that seat the most. 2022, thank you. Thank you to Lucy and Mary in my Twitch chat. I think that Alex deserves the seat the most. I think he has more than proven himself at Williams in the last 2 years, especially with last year's Australian Grand Prix. I know he didn't finish it, but that kind of wasn't his fault. He got caught up in that ridiculousness of that red flag. But I think Alex has sort of more than proved that he deserves that seat. Or possibly Kimi Antonelli is driving in F2 this year. I believe he's driving with Prema this year in F2. So, and he is a Mercedes Academy developmental driver. So if Kimi sort of proves himself this year, then possibly he's the one that they're gearing up to take that Mercedes seat next year. I'm not too sure. People have been suggesting online that it would be Carlos. I don't think that makes any sense whatsoever, or it kind of would be like a big FU to Ferrari if they give them Lewis and take Carlos. There's also so it could be a number of drivers, really. It would be funny to see Valtteri go back there. I don't think it'll happen because he'll still be number 2 driver to George, and he's way better than that and deserves more. But yeah, there is a couple of different options there. Controversially, I know everybody is saying that Daniel Ricciardo is set up to take Checo's seat next year, but and bear with me here. Daniel Ricciardo at Mercedes. Now, he would still be number 2 driver, which we know is the reason why he left Red Bull in the first place back in at the end of 2018, was the fact that he was the second driver. Now, he also re-signed with Red Bull to be the reserve driver and then went to AlphaTauri kind of as the first driver, kind of not. But if he went back to Red Bull into that Red Bull seat, he would still be number 2 driver to Max, which is why he left in the first place. Although maybe he's had a little bit of time now to kind of wrap his head around the fact that maybe being number 2 driver to Max Verstappen isn't too bad. I know Lucy's just said in chat that she can't have one of her favorites driving for Mercedes. She's a big Daniel Ricciardo fan. I am the same, honestly, Lucy. Like, I don't really support Mercedes as a team. There's a bunch of stuff that's come out about Toto online in the last couple of days that I'm not going to talk about. But yeah, I'm not the biggest Mercedes fan, but it could happen. Like, I feel like logically it would be a good decision. Daniel still has good years left in him. I think he more than proved that at AlphaTauri last year. I think also from what I've seen online, and as Lucy has just pointed out in chat, that there is rumors going around at the moment that Red Bull are trying to lock down Alex Albon. Now, I'm not too sure whether Alex would go back to Red Bull. I think when he was first put into that Red Bull car, he wasn't ready for it. And that was why he was ousted sort of so quickly when he jumped in to replace Pierre after Daniel left and et cetera, et cetera. I don't want Alex back in the Red Bull family. I think he is better than that. Not that there's anything wrong with Red Bull. I just think he's better than that. But yeah, we'll see kind of how that ends up going. But there's also, that second Red Bull seat, which everybody really thinks that is going to go to Daniel Ricciardo. I think Daniel is probably a good choice. He's already part of the Red Bull family, being with AlphaTauri. So VCarb, sorry, not AlphaTauri, VCarb. I wonder how many times that's going to happen on commentary this year. I think I could kind of see it happening with Daniel back in the second Red Bull seat. However, I don't know whether people remember this. Carlos Sainz used to drive for Toro Rosso. Carlos Sainz is still technically a Red Bull Academy driver. Carlos is out of contract. They keep saying that he's going to go to Audi, but Audi are not joining the grid until 2026. So next year, could we possibly see a Max and Carlos lineup at Red Bull? I think it would be very, very interesting. Max is obviously the driver that is going to be favoured. But yeah, I think it would be an interesting dynamic. Let's just say that much. I would really love to see it. I think, and Aram's going to kill me for this. I think that Carlos could give Max a run for his money in the same machinery. So yeah. Lucy's just posted in chat in all caps 4 times. Max, 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 Max. Let's just face it. This year, I think that Red Bull is still going to dominate and be unbeatable. But we are going to do some predictions in a little while. However, what we are going to do now is we're going to have a look at the Haas livery for this year and do a little bit of a comparison because I think that would be quite fun. I didn't say that Carlos was better than Max. I just think that he would give Max a run for his money. Yeah, look, I tend to agree with you. I definitely don't disagree. But my cat has the zoomies. Yeah, I'm definitely not I'm definitely not disagreeing with you. I just think that he could possibly give Max a little bit of more of a challenge than what he's currently getting, if that makes sense. But yeah, we'll follow this as the season progresses and kind of see where it goes. But yeah, so let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at this Haas livery. Now, I don't know if it is on the right screen for my screen capture, but we'll figure it out in a moment. It is. Okay, cool. I'm sort of in the way here of this rear wing, but that is okay. Okay, so over here, this is last year's Haas livery. Over this side is this year's Haas livery. So obviously this outside bit here that was white last year is been changed to black and white. And that black area on the inside has been made a little bit thinner. The front wing is different, whereas it was kind of one color. It's now two colors. I think maybe it's a little bit bigger. I know they look bigger next to each other side by side, but I think it's just different kind of zoom on the pictures. I think if I was to zoom in on that one, it would look exactly the same. So I think it's not necessarily any bigger. Paint job looks a bit different. The seat looks a little different. The rear wing looks a little bit more, like it looks a bit fatter, if that makes sense. By the way, I didn't purposely pick a picture of Nico's car from last year to compare with the pic of Nico's car for this year. But they are the same car. So the way that the sponsorship is laid out, it's a little bit different. And the halo also has a couple more sponsors on it this year than it did last year. We've also got a black nose cone with logos rather than a white nose cone. So I think I agree with both of you. I think this year's car does look a lot better than last year's. Just as a secondary comparison. Oh yeah, she good. Yes, Chipotle is a new sponsor. So this is this year's and this is last year's. I know I switched them around for this one. Sorry guys. I know that's the VF23 because it says VF23 livery. So yeah, this is last year's on this side and this year's on this side. So if I zoom in, we can kind of look at the sponsors. So Oakberry, does that say balls? HaasTooling.com. I thought it said balls. Palm Angels, yes. Chipotle. It also looks like, do you think that kind of looks like the Carlton Football Club logo, Kazi? Play and Go. Did I get Kevin's car this time as well? Oh, damn, I'm good. It's two Kevin cars. So yeah, this is last year's. This is this year's. The side pods definitely look different, Lucy. The cooling, the air extraction also looks a little bit different. I think it's more rounded. It looks kind of more rounded than last year's. Like it's very square. Yeah, I feel like this is quite square, whereas this is kind of more rounded. Or it just goes back further. No, it's definitely like a different shape. But yeah. I think it looks better from side on. I think that the rear wing is different as well, looking at this. Now, is that coming from the center or from the side? Oh, no. I don't want that. I want the other side. All right, we'll just look at it this way then while I've got it. Yeah, the rear wing is different too. I don't know if maybe the paint job is just different and that's why it looks different on this one. Oh, no, that's Ollie Behrman's car. I am in an ad. Yeah, looking at these side on, I feel like if we look at the rear wing here, it's definitely different. It's got more here this year than it did last year. Unless it's just black and I can't see it, but that rear wing looks really different. It does look like a Red Bull side pod, hey. So yeah, that is this year's Haas. It does look very sleek and sexy. Looks much better than last year's. I'm just so proud of myself that I managed to get pictures of the same car to compare to the other. So yeah, that's what we've got so far. We've only had 2 livery reveals. I do very much like the one livery reveal so far, two if you count McLaren, that is quite different. So I'm interested to see how they go. A certain very well-known F1 podcaster, content creator person tweeted after that reveal and was like saying how we got to see the 10th in the constructors. So I think some people are very biased. I think we need to not necessarily compare. So I have seen the new McLaren suits. I don't know how I feel about them. I feel like, however, Oscar and Lando can make anything look good, so I'm not too worried. I'm also maybe a little bit biased, but shh, don't tell anyone. That was the joke that I'm still like happy. So I don't think they are that ugly. They're not that bad. They're not that bad. They could be worse. They could 100% be worse. Let's see if I can get a picture of the McLaren car from this year, and we'll do a comparison of those with this year and last year. McLaren livery 2023, because they were just like, surprise, cheesy Doritos. Oh, Lucy, you make me so happy. I just want you to know that you make me so happy. Give me a sec. Let's have a look. Okay. Okay. Let us have a look at the McLaren liveries from last year and this year. If I can get them to play nice for me. It's all live here, folks. We're doing things a little bit differently this time. Let's see, and then let's look at this year's. I should have just done like a 23 compared to 24. Anyway, where is the thing? Is that the thing? Yeah, that's the thing. I think that's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing. McLaren did a like surprise mofos and dropped the livery like out of nowhere. So good on them for like getting the jump on everybody. I have everyone else's written in my phone. And we can have a look at when everybody else is releasing their liveries. Let me just get these babies up and running. I am very much looking forward to next weekend, where I will be working at the Shannon Speed Series. It is round 1, I believe, at Sandown Park. And it is going to be a very fun weekend. I'm not looking forward to... and you will understand my pain with this, Mick. I am not looking forward to having to be at Sandown Racecourse at 7:30 in the morning on Friday. But we do what we have to do, right? So, whoops, I've accidentally opened that twice. I don't want to look at it twice. It looks very, very boxy when I open it. Why doesn't the other one want to open? Hang on a second. Don't think that worked the way I wanted it to. Bear with me. Can't see what you guys are saying. I will post pics. Yeah, me either, Lucy. I'm so excited to see the ow. I'm so excited to see the Red Bull livery. It's gonna look so cool and so different. Is that the one I want? No, that's the 2023 one. I know that that's the one we're looking for, but not the one we're actually looking for. Why can't I find this picture? Are you going to be at the Speed Series? It's giving me like the Arrow McLaren car. I don't want the Arrow car. I want the F1 car. Is that one? Is it dissing? Is it dissing? No, that's not the right angle that I want. Why won't the one on the F1 website? Why won't the one on the F1 website work the way that I want to? Yeah, nice. I will be there both days. All 3 days. I think my thing about McLaren last year was that they had various liveries. So that was cool. I don't want it as an AVF file. I want it as a JPEG. Why won't it let me save as a JPEG? Because it's on the F1 website, that's why. No, I accept. Why? Just let me... Alright, fine. We'll do it this way then. Okay, there we go. Oh, of course it works now. For Christ's sake. The F1 website is not being my friend. Anyway, okay, let's do this. It won't be as good as the Haas one, but let's make a little quick comparison here. Let's have a look. Okay. Live podcasting, people. This is what happens. I apologize to my editor. But yeah, okay. So, this is what we've got. This is this year's car, and this is last year's car. Now, I know it's hard to kind of look at it as a comparison when they're not side by side, but clearly the paint job is different. It's a different sponsor up on the top here. It's VLO. And I think that rear wing also looks a bit fatter. The design is slightly different. I would love to see a top view of that to see if the front end is different. But it is looking slightly more sleek again with the OKX on the side here instead of the Velo on the side pods. They are also very Red Bull looking side pods, don't you think, Lucy? And as we know, McLaren did actually poach some stuff from Red Bull for this year, I believe. So that might be why. Also, people are kind of just catching on. Sorry, Trent. Yeah, okay. Cool. So, yeah, that's a thing. That's a thing that's happening. But yeah, so that is this year's and that is last year's DP World. Get your mind out of the gutter, young lady. Maybe talking to me, maybe talking to you. Maybe if I can get a side-on view of the McLaren from the F1 website. Give me a moment. Please don't do me for copyright. F1. Please don't hate me. We'll just look at it this way. But yeah, I think it is a slightly different design this year as well. The colors also make it look a lot more sleek and a lot sexier. Mary, for context, the race suits were going to be like half papaya, half black, except the papaya and black line kind of like cuts across on an angle like this at about hip/crotch height. I think that's where Lucy's disgust is coming from. But yeah, I think the side pods are definitely different. The rear wing is definitely different as well. I'm interested to see if they've got more of a scoop on their front wing like the Haas does, or if they don't. So that will be interesting to see. I believe the next livery reveal is going to be Williams, which is happening on Monday, I'm pretty sure. I have them all in my phone calendar. I believe it is, Williams is next, which is on Monday. And then it is also the Sauber launch on Monday. I'm not quite sure what time that's going to be. The Stake F1 team, it's their reveal also. I'm interested to see. I'm hoping the Stake car is black and green because Kick is one of the sponsors and that's mostly green. So let's hope we have a green and black car on the grid this year. That would be pretty cool. And then on the 7th, we have Alpine's launch, and it is also Pierre Gasly's birthday on the 7th. So happy birthday in advance, Pierre. And hopefully, random number is calling me on WhatsApp. Hopefully we see good things from the Alpine launch. So happy birthday in advance for Wednesday, Pierre. On the 8th, we have Red Bull's launch, which, let's be honest, we know it's going to look exactly the same in terms of the color scheme. Potentially some different things with wings, but it's going to look virtually the same. And then we've also got the... who is trying to call me on WhatsApp? Jesus Christ. Do I know this person? So, yeah, that livery will be interesting. And then we've got on the... no one's doing reveals on the weekends. And then on the 12th, we have Aston Martin. On the 13th, we have Ferrari. And then Valentine's Day, we have... it still says in my phone that the McLaren launch is on Valentine's Day, but it's not because they've already done theirs. But yeah, they're the only ones I have in my calendar. I think the Aston Martin car is also being revealed, I want to say, on the 12th. Pretty sure the Aston Martin reveal is on the 12th as well. And then Max car, fast car, good livery, let's go. Oh, Lucy, you make me laugh. So, yeah, hang on. Give me 1 second, guys. Oh, no, it's not my friend in the UK that I'm worried about that's trying to call me. I don't need to worry. But yeah. So, I know you are, but it's fine. It's fine. I'm permanently and perpetually cheering for Charles. So, I've been following Charles since his F2 days. So, don't worry about it. It's fine. I appreciate it. I love the passion. More passion, more passion, more energy, more footwork, more footwork. Except you don't need more passion and energy and more footwork because you already do an amazing job. But yeah, I don't care. I love that you're excited about it, Lucy. But getting back to podcast related things, we kind of went on a little bit of a tangent there. But yeah, so there is still the other 8 teams to do their livery reveals. I'm personally really excited for the Alpine launch. From what they've been teasing on Instagram and Twitter, it is going to be very pink and camouflage looking. Although whether that's just a concept or whether that's what it's actually going to look like, 2 very, very different things. And then we are also I'm looking forward to the Stake F1 reveal because I'm hoping that it will be black and green. And I'm also interested to see the V-Carb launch because I think it is going to be probably very blue. But I'm really not sure. I didn't put the Mercedes launch in my calendar because I don't really care. But yeah. Yeah, the launch could be fun. I'm interested to see what they go with and how Red Bull it's going to look like and how not Red Bull it's going to look like. But we will see. I love this for you guys that you did that. I cannot afford to do either of those things because I am very, very broke. But that is the life of an event coordinator. And anyway, okay, so I have some exciting news that I would like to share with you guys. You guys ready for some exciting news? Waits for the comments to come through on Twitch. So I have some news. I have an announcement that I'm going to make. And that news/announcement is, if you follow me on Twitter or you're friends with me on Facebook, you've probably already seen it. But basically, what we are going to do this year is I'm going to start a fantasy F1 league based around the Aussie Grid Girl podcast and my Twitch channel. And it's all kind of going to run together as sort of an amalgamated sort of thing. But the way that it is going to work is I want you guys to get involved as well. So I'm going to include my YouTube channel here too, because this is also going to go to YouTube. The way that is going to work is when fantasy F1 entries open, the leagues have not started yet. As soon as they start, I will start one up. And then what we are also going to do is it is going to be a $5 buy-in or a £5 buy-in or a €5 buy-in, wherever you come from. It will be a $5 to enter the league. And then at the end of the season, the first, second, third, and last place winners of the league will win a share of that money. It's not like a mandatory thing. I'm not keeping any of the money for myself unless I score a certain position. But I think it would just be a little bit fun if we make it a little bit more competitive as well. Personally, I always forget to update my fantasy team. So if I do it with a monetary buy-in, hopefully it reminds people and we remember to actually update our teams throughout the season. And the way that is also going to work is I am going to... every week when I podcast, it might not necessarily be every week. It might be every 2 weeks. I'm looking at trying to make it work the best way possible. Whatever is less work for myself and for my editor, because I want to try and learn how to edit everything myself. And I am very busy, but I'm trying to make it a self-sustained channel. If you guys want to donate to the channel, maybe that's something that I can look into in the future, but that is not something I'm ever going to ask you guys for. But yeah, it is a $5 buy-in into the league. First, second, third, and last place winners of the league will win a share of that money. It will be a sliding scale depending on where you position yourselves. If there is only 4 of us in it, it's £20. We'll probably make it work somehow. So it'd be $10 for the winner, $7.50 for $5 for P2, $2.50 for P3, and maybe $3 for P3 and $2 for last. But we'll see. Are donuts accepted? No, Kazi, I will not accept donuts as forms of entering the league. But yeah, that is the way that we are going to do it. Absolutely, you can watch even if you're not in, Mary. I will be sharing the league updates on the podcast / on the vodcast when I do it over on YouTube. And yeah, that's how it is going to work this year. I'm really looking forward to it. I think it is going to be a lot of fun. I've already got a couple of people that are interested. The one and only Luke Crane, aka Actual Vision, has already expressed that he is interested in joining. I don't know if he will still want to join when I tell him he has to pay, but we'll see how we go. So yeah, that is the aim for this year. We're going to have fun with the league. And yeah, I'm really looking forward to seeing what the rest of the season brings. Now, before I wrap up the episode of the podcast, I just want to give a massive shout out to everybody that listened, watched the podcast last year. I appreciate every single one of you, especially my dad, who commented on every single one of my podcasts that I posted to YouTube, and congratulated me a lot of the time for not swearing. I also want to thank Luke Crane for coming on and doing an end of season wrap up with me. Hopefully I can convince Luke to come on and be a guest more often this year. And hopefully I can get some of you guys to come on and do podcast episodes with me and we can chat. The second thing I'm going to talk about is don't forget to head over to the YouTube channel. The YouTube channel is also the Aussie Grid Girl. So if you are just listening to the podcast, wherever you get your podcasts, we are doing these over on YouTube as well. And then probably once every 2 weeks, I'm going to, well, actually, when I get my new computer on Monday, I'm going to try and stream as much as I can. So on probably the Monday after the race, I usually stream on Mondays anyway, so probably the Monday after the race I will jump on stream as well, and we'll do kind of like a little bit of a talk about the race. It won't be a full wrap up, I'll save that for the podcast, but we'll still do that. So if you want to come and hang out with me on Twitch, all you need to do is go to Twitch, type in twitch.tv/Kelsey, KELSEY _ the Caffeine Queen, THECAFFEINE QUEEN. So that is twitch.tv /KELSEY _ THECAFFEINE QUEEN. Kelsey the Caffeine Queen is my Twitch handle. If you want to come hang out with me on Twitch, you are more than welcome to do so. You can also find me on TikTok as the Aussie Grid Girl. I am on Instagram as the Aussie Grid Girl. My Twitter handle is at Kelsey_139 if you want to come hang out with me there. Thank you everybody that's listening. I hope we have an amazing season this year, and I can't wait to see what it brings. So yeah, thank you guys for listening to episode 1 of season 2 of the Aussie Grid Girl, and I'll talk to you soon.